Stock plugins versus third-party plugins. Yes, I am really putting myself up for bashing here. Being a third-party plugin manufacturer, how dare I pick up this topic? I'm obviously biased that third-party plugins are better. Well, as you'll find out in this particular video, that it's not the case. But yet, I do have my perspectives on both, and then I'm going to throw in something else, which is analog hardware. Okay, so what works, what doesn't, and how really I think about things. So here goes. So if you look at a DAW manufacturer, like somebody who's making Pro Tools like Avid or Logic or Cubase, FL Studio, Presonus Studio One, Reaper, I hope I've not missed your favorite DAW. That itself is sufficient to start bashing me. Anyway, so if you look at the mindset of a DAW manufacturer, what's their first goal? Their first goal is basically to give you a stable DAW, something that works, syncs out of the box, because if that's not working right, it's the most irritating thing for a user. They're going to abandon you, if it doesn't work. So the first thing is stability. The first thing is, trying to get, things to work correctly, give you the basic edit functions and all that. And the last priority really is, okay, let's throw in some stock plugins. Okay, it's not the other way around. So coming from their mentality and understanding, what their priorities are, I think obviously their first thing is stability, then comes stock plugins. Let's provide the user with lots of tools that they can start sculpting their sound with. Okay, so third party is kind of redundant. Let's give them everything. So when they do that, and that's like a second priority, they're obviously not trying to build very colorful tools. They will definitely give you clinical tools which work great. Okay, so in my opinion, yes, I know some people are doing some kind of emulations like Steinberg and Logic and all of that, but obviously the emulations are not coming from deep research and all of that kind of thing. They're basically copying curves and doing some basic modeling, and they come out with it. So they give you something good value for money. Okay, and that's fine. Now, if you come from a background and working with analog equipment, you come with a mentality where you know how the sound used to be with that medium, and if you prefer that sound, again, I know people like different things. So if you like that, richer sound, wider sound, sometimes if it's tube, it's crunchier. If it's solid state, it's very clean, tight, some natural things that analog does to sound. Then you understand that when you work with digital tools or just working with what you see is what you get, or rather what you hear is what you get, you want to add stuff to it to make it more dimensional, more vibey. Sometimes, you need that. So if you know what you want, then you can use stock plugins. Of course, you can use bit crushers, you can use inbuilt distortion plugins, saturation plugins, wideners, and be going at it and trying to create or recreate rather the analog vibe, because that was something you're used to. Now you're in digital. Say you didn't buy any third-party plugins, but you know what you're looking for. So you'll find the tools within the DAW stock stuff, and you'll pretty much get there. It's just that you'll have to work very hard. Of course you'll get there, you'll be very close, or probably sometimes better. I don't know. Depends on your vision, your structure, and if you have the result in your head that this is what I want and I'll use whatever means to get there, but I'm limited to stock plugins, I'm sure you'll get there. You're a smart guy, you're experienced, you'll work very hard and get there. Now again, people who worked on analog gear at that era, naturally had some boons. Come on, I mean, let's say it the way it is. Those engineers had it a little easier, except for the fact that they were working with a completely linear medium like tape and splicing. All that was, you needed a person to just handle all of that. But when it came to sound, just purely sound, okay, obviously using a beautiful console with electronics and transformers and all that is already giving you a lot of color, whether intended or not. It's already beautifying your mix. Again, tape sounded great. Then you have a lot of EQs and natural compressors and things that are lying around. So even a person, who could be like really, really bad, will get something out of that equipment, right? Out of analog. So in the digital world, for new engineers, I think it's a little harder in terms of getting the sound to be rich, because they have to do a lot of processing. They have to do a lot of things, because digital is like cold, right? It's a cold world. It's not naturally giving you any color. It's a great medium, because then it's not adding unnecessary color to things that you don't want. So you can really control at every stage, every track, every bus stage or mix bus, what you're putting in and getting the exact, very precise kind of color that you want, which is a great thing today. So coming back to third-party plugins. So obviously, as a manufacturer, my focus is not on trying to make a DAW. It's the other way around. My priority is to try to get plugins which have color, which have a particular characteristic. Again, from my company's perspective, Tone Empire is designed to make you have color. We are not making clinical tools really. That's not our focus. You will not find a, very clinical EQ here with very precise things, and that's not our game. There are a lot of people who make that and they do it really well. So we thought obviously we stick with what we like and bring that idea to the world, bring our taste to the world, and then find our tribe. Like I'm trying to find my tribe here with YouTube, with kind people around giving us encouragement. So when I make a plugin or I do something, obviously I'm doing immense amount of listening tests. I wanted to impart something naturally to the sound, which reduces human work. So if you are trying to get a kind of color or something natural that a plugin imparts and is, more dimensional, has more realistic analog qualities, then obviously third-party people are focused on it. I can't vouch for anyone else, obviously, but that's my goal. I will spend time to try to make it as beautiful as possible, as musical as possible, with the least amount of things to be done to it. Because like I said, I'm a believer of, slap things on, get it there quick, like the analog people or days. Although I'm telling you, I was not born really in the analog era. I started with a digital mixer, the O2R by Yamaha, and I was using a VS880 Roland hard disk recorder. So I never actually initially worked on tape. It's only over time when I heard old records and I compared it to the digital stuff, two things came to my mind. Number one, that I'm a terrible mix engineer, which was also true probably at that point in time, maybe still is. Second thing was that, oh my God, this is something else. Like I need that gear to get that sound. And I was right. As I started in my journey to collect analog gear, I did find that my sound was getting better. It was, and especially in the early digital, where it was totally cold. The algorithms were crap. It was really bad, useless compressors and stuff which was built in. Now, obviously, things have gotten better. Technology has gotten ahead. Digital has its, time in this business, trying to be better, and obviously taking the good stuff from analog and keeping the versatility that it offers. So, over time, obviously, third-party plugins have gotten better, including us. We hope, you enjoy what we make. Now coming to another look at things. So again, when you have a digital, even if you're using third-party plugins or stock plugins, there is a certain amount of work you will have to do. If you want that analog vibe, if you want what analog naturally gave you. I still suggest, like I said, I've not abandoned my analog gear. I still kiss my audio with some analog stage. Either while it's going in, I keep experimenting, or sometimes I just track straight to the A to D. And when I'm coming out, I'll probably split to a small mixer and have like a analog compressor, which is the kind that I built, or an analog EQ on board, or some kind of a color box, even after using some plugins. So I find this hybrid mixing really nice because I don't have to work too hard on the mix bus, because the analog flavor just imparts its beauty automatically. So I do less things on tracks, But again, like if you are a mixer mentality person and you want all the control, then obviously plugins will get you there anyway. I'm not saying that you need that analog thing, but in my workflow, for me to work quicker, I still keep a analog piece on the master bus. I just prefer it for some reason. It makes me get there quicker. I have done experiments where I've just used stock plugins. I've done experiments where I use stock plugins and our own plugins, mix of those things. And I found that I've gotten to the same place that I'm looking to go. But certainly with stock plugins has been the hardest. With third party, slightly easier, a little easier, a little better, because it's doing something, magical as intended. And then the third obviously is using analog. So analog is the quickest way for me, to get there, because it's already doing the magical things. So again, it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of how you approach things. It's modern versus old. But then again, think about this fact. Why are people making vintage oriented plugins? Not just us. Because there's something about that gear. It's a tried and tested 1176 is a tried and tested circuit. Himalaya 2A is a tried and tested circuit. Neve 1073 is a tried and tested EQ over time. Trident has its flavor, API has its flavor. Why are people trying to emulate these things? Because in the analog world, they've spent enough time to succeed with those circuits and find what's musical. Musicality is the whole game. So again, to each their own. This is just my small take on, stock plugins versus third-party plugins versus, analog hardware. Not versus really, but three different routes to getting to the same destination, I suppose. So the most important thing is your ear. If you can hear well, you know what you want, most importantly, and you know how to get there. You'll get there with less tools or more tools. It might take a little more time, but eventually you'll get there, right? So your ears, your experience, your room, your speakers, maybe then your converters and all that matters. I'll tell you something, like I had the Lynx Aurora converters, which are fabulous, so flat and like perfect for if you use a lot of analog, which I do. And then I just switched to Prism, the Titan. And oh my God, even between the Prism and the Titan, I'm making different mix decisions. Would you believe it? I mean, really just changing a converter, which isn't, sometimes just doing D to A. But the clocking, or call it the quality of the D2A, is so superior. Like I can hear more low end with the Prism. Again, I'm not vouching for any brand, but I'm saying these small things, even in your gear, do make a difference. It changes the decisions you will make. And sometimes for the better. Sometimes you feel you're overdoing something because you realize that your interface or your speakers are too flat, or sometimes you're underdoing things because they're too colored. So sometimes when you change things, you find, oh, it was just my reference point which was offsetting my thinking and work. So think about all of this. It does matter. Small changes can make a big difference in your work approach and how soon you get to your destination. Anyway, so this was just my take. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, of course, write your own takes in comments below. I'm here to learn, so when a lot of experienced people come here and they share certain things, my perspective changes also, so I've not come here with a fixed idea and a fixed mind just to blabber and not listen. I'm here to listen. So if you disagree with me, please write below. And I'd love to hear your take on it. Maybe I'm gonna take something from there and change my system. So that's about it. I will see you guys in another video. Hope you're enjoying this channel. And like I said, if you are, please consider subscribing, because I'm planning to put out some more, content on this channel. So if you like talking to me and you enjoy this space, I'd love to build a small community with you. Thanks again. I will see you in another video. Ciao.